Harish Kalipelli of JRG joins in with his picks for trade this afternoon. Harish, thanks for joining in on ET Now. First up, what's your call on precious metals for the day?
If you look at gold, silver, I think after a very sharp decline last week or in recent past, we've seen some kind of pullback yesterday, but however it failed to sustain the gains and again resumed its downward trend. I think this weakness is likely to prevail further, so it is advised to be on selling side at least for short term, if not long term. And the factors, if you look at, no doubt, the dollar strength and no positive or no fresh news flow is what causing the fresh declines in gold. And as far as levels are concerned, we are expecting around 29,500 initially, and if that is breached, then 29,400 levels as well in short term. The ideal level to sell would be around 29,610. Keeping a stop loss above 29,700 levels.
Right, and what about your views on crude?
I think crude prices have been declining now. If you look at, the important support level of $93 has been breached. So now again it has come back to 90-odd levels. So I think this range is likely to prevail further. And if not only crude oil, entire commodity basket is is under pressure due to strengthened dollar. So this weakness is likely to continue further. So we believe selling would be ideal strategy in short term. So selling around 5,010, 5,015 levels on MCX contract would be advised, and targets can be seen around 4,950 levels. As far as stop is concerned, one can keep a stop loss above 5,045 levels.
And what about base metals, Harish?
I think entire base metal complex has been consolidating, if you look at without any major direction, but I think the broad range as far as copper is concerned would be around 426 on lower side and 432 on higher side. So within this range, I think a lot of sideways movement is expected, but overall, since all the commodities are likely to be under pressure, so we prefer selling copper again. I think any around 430 would be ideal level to sell for a target of 426 levels. As far as stops are concerned, one can keep stop loss above 432.5.
Let's get in then. Renisha Chennani, she's commodity analyst, capital markets, and she joins us in Edelweiss Financial Services. Renisha, hi, welcome. What's your sense coming in for the precious metals now? Because we've seen the last couple of sessions actually do good, stable, if not much highs there. How are you trading into this space?
Hi, Manisha. If you look at precious metals and particularly gold, it has been trading in range of $1,550 to $1,620 after a huge sell-off we saw last week. And after the lows being made, prices have been consolidating and have been trading in this range only. My short-term view is bearish in gold, and long-term I'm still bullish. If you look at the short-term factors like ETF holdings, they are coming down. If you look at the total gold ETF holdings of the world, they have come down by 5%. If you look at SPDR gold holdings, it has come down by 8%. So prices have been hammered because there is improving outlook, and this has changed the preferences of asset class holding, and people are moving to the riskier assets. So I would recommend to sell gold in a short term around 29,600 with this stop loss of 29,650. Targets would be 29,540 and 500 on the lower side. But in the long term, I'm still bullish because still there is very good demand coming in from central banks to put gold in their reserve asset.
Sure. Renisha, let's also chat about the crude prices then, because on one side there are concerns about Chinese demand coming in. On the other side, the North Sea supply worries is something that has been supportive. And then you also have the US weekly inventories, which have gained more than what the markets were expecting. How are you reacting to all these fundamentals, and what's your way of playing the prices here?
In crude oil, we saw roughly 8 to 9% sell-off in last 10 to 15 days. But after making a low below $90, prices have again rebounded. And a new factor has come in today, that is Venezuela has come into focus today. because its president, Mr. Shehbaz, said demise has again questioned the demand supply scenario of Venezuela, because Venezuela is a very good oil exporter to US, and if some problems occur, again there would be demand supply problems. So for this small speculation, I would advise to go long today if prices sustain above 5,005 March contract with the stop loss of 49.80. Targets would be 5,035 and 5,050 on the higher side.
Nisha, how are you looking at copper prices, especially after China said yesterday that they are looking at a strong economic recovery going forward in 2013 as well? Does that give you impetus to continue buying into this space?
Yes, after this China's statement, we have seen that prices are not still getting support. All base metals are still very weak, and I expect still a small sell-off coming in for next 2 or 3 days. And prices are as oversold. We could see rebound coming in few days. But if you look at for intraday view, still view is bearish, and I would recommend to sell copper below 429 with the stop loss of 432.5, and targets would be roughly around 425. And if I have to go for other base metal, I would also pick nickel. It is also very much bearish in a bearish trend because of rising inventories and lackluster demand from steel makers. So I would also recommend to sell nickel today with the stop loss of 920, and one should sell below 912. Targets would be 900 on the lower side.
Nisha, since you have a sell call coming in for the gold and much of those base metals as well, how are you looking at silver in that light as then? Do you think there is a further decline coming in for that space as well?
Yes, silver also I would recommend to sell around 54,900. The stop loss would be 55,000. Targets around 54,700, because silver is getting its support from base metals and gold, and both of them are looking weak, so silver would also trade weak today.
Before we let you go, Nisha, would want to come back onto the energy sector there. While the crude prices have seen consolidation, some buying move coming in for that one, the other space, natural gas, really has continued to soar on the higher side. Last 3 sessions have been positive for that space, almost holding above that 190 mark there. Do you think there are more gains coming in for that?
I think the gains have now would be limited in the natural gas. All positive factors are already discounted in the prices, and in last few days we have seen that natural gas and crude oil has inverse correlation. So somewhat upside is expected in crude, and I expect somewhat downside in natural gas. So I would advise to sell natural gas around 195, 196 levels with the stop loss of 200. Targets would be 190 on the lower side.
Let's go across to Naveen Mathur from Angel, and he joins us live on the show. Naveen, hi, welcome. Let's start with gold first, and some bit of a support coming in. Does it give you enough justification to go higher from here?
No, Manisha, I'll go on a bearish side. I don't see anything much on the upside for the gold prices in India, and that's because of my anticipation that the rupee will going to appreciate from here onwards, and it will going to consolidate at around 53.5 to 53 levels. So on a long-term basis, definitely because of the inflationary expectations and the stimulus by the central bankers and buying also the foreign exchange reserves buying, they are diversifying into gold, and that buying also would keep the momentum on the gold for the international markets on the upside for some time. But I think on the rupee terms, we are slightly bearish, and even for the intraday, we would recommend to sell the positions on the gold markets at around 29,630 to 29,650 levels. Stop loss recommended at around 29,750, and we are expecting targets on the downside at around 29,450 to 500 levels.
Naveen, also, what's your sense coming in for crude now? Because we've seen important psychological levels of $90 and 110 levels in both these crudes hold on. Does that give you confidence to buy into this space?
Manisha, as I said earlier, and I continue saying it, that the crude doesn't look like to be beyond 85 on the downside, up till unless we don't see major geopolitical issues which may take it, particularly not the geopolitical issue, but the economic issues with respect to the Eurozone or maybe some other economy. I don't see crude on the downside beyond $85 levels. It's holding at around $90 right now, and we are expecting a bullish trend, except for the bearish note on the rise in the inventories on the crude. Otherwise, all the positives are therefore for the long side on the crude. And we, particularly on the international markets, are bullish to an extent of 95 in days to come. But then intraday trade, we would recommend to buy the crude oil contract on the MCX for the month of March at around 4950 to 4960 levels. We would recommend the stop loss for this trade at around 4920 and targets on the upside in the ranges of 5020 to 5025.